Navigating divorce is, well, it's undoubtedly one of life's most challenging experiences for many people. It's emotionally taxing, certainly.
Absolutely. And often the financial burden is just as heavy, if not more so.
Yes, and the traditional route going through the courts can sometimes feel like it just pours fuel on that fire,
Yeah.
making everything more strained.
That's often the case. The adversarial nature of court procedures, it can really escalate tensions. Communication can break down quite significantly. Parties become quite defensive.
Which is precisely why we wanted to do this deep dive today.
Yeah.
We're looking at an alternative path within South African divorce law, mediation.
That's right. And we're drawing our insights from an article titled The Benefits of Mediation in South African Divorce Law.
Our mission here is really to unpack the key benefits highlighted in that source. We want to explore how mediation aims to, firstly, reduce conflict,
Secondly, its potential for being more cost-effective.
and thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, how it works to empower the individuals actually going through the divorce.
Yeah.
So let's start with that first point. The article raises reducing conflict. The source really contrasts the court process with mediation.
It does. The article argues that traditional litigation can often inflame disputes. Communication becomes fractured. But mediation, it suggests, offers a different kind of space.
How so? What kind of space is it describing?
Well, unlike the formal courtroom setting, where everything's filtered through legal representatives, mediation is structured to be more collaborative. It's a place where both parties are encouraged to voice their needs, their concerns, their priorities directly.
So face-to-face, ideally.
Often, yes. The mediator's role, as the source implies, is to facilitate that conversation, keep it constructive, manage the dialogue effectively.
And the article actually gives a specific South African example, doesn't it? It mentions Malab v. Malab.
Yes, it uses that case to illustrate a point. The point being how mediation can, in practice, lead to amicable resolutions, even on very difficult issues.
Such as?
Things like child custody arrangements or how assets are divided. The source suggests that by offering this structured, less confrontational environment, mediation helps couples avoid those really hostile battles you sometimes see in court.
It certainly raises a key question. If the process itself is less about fighting and more about, well, communicating,
Yes.
how much difference does that make to the emotional impact and to the final outcome for everyone, particularly when children are involved?
A very pertinent question. And that less confrontational nature leads quite naturally into the second benefit the source emphasizes, cost effectiveness.
Yes, the financial side. Court battles, we know, can become incredibly expensive. Legal fees for drafting, appearances, preparation, it all mounts up.
It really does. And this is a critical aspect the source focuses on. It points out that mediation sessions are typically structured differently. There's often less extensive preparation needed compared to gearing up for court.
Which logically means it should be less costly overall.
Exactly. The source suggests it saves both time and, crucially, significant amounts of money for the parties involved.
And it's not just an assertion. They mention research to support this.
Correct. The article cites findings from the South African Law Reform Commission. This research apparently indicates that parties choosing mediation often experience substantial cost savings compared to those who go the litigation route.
That potential for financial relief, especially during such a stressful time, must be a very strong draw for many people.
Absolutely. And if you think about the broader impact, reducing that financial pressure means individuals have more resources left over.
For what? Starting over.
Precisely. For things like housing, supporting their children adequately, or just generally rebuilding their lives post-divorce. The implication is that it's not just about saving on legal fees, but freeing up funds for the future.
Okay, so the source presents mediation as potentially less conflict-ridden and more affordable. What about the third core benefit mentioned, the empowerment of the parties?
This is a really interesting shift in dynamic compared to court. In court, ultimately, a judge makes binding decisions based on legal arguments. Your future is decided for you, in a sense.
Whereas mediation.
Mediation, the source argues, gives individuals their voice back. They aren't just passive recipients of a judgment, they become active negotiators.
Meaning they participate directly.
Yes, directly in the discussions. They propose solutions, they debate options, and ultimately they agree on outcomes tailored specifically to their own unique family situation, their circumstances.
Not just a one-size-fits-all legal solution.
Exactly. And the article notes that many mediators in South Africa are trained in techniques specifically aimed at supporting this self-determination. They guide the process, facilitate negotiation, but the goal is for the parties themselves to craft an agreement.
And the idea is that this leads to agreements that feel fairer, more workable.
That's the suggestion. Agreements people are genuinely satisfied with, potentially more so than with a court-imposed order, because they built it themselves.
That sense of ownership seems key.
It is. The source implies that because the parties crafted the terms together, they're more likely to actually stick to them down the line.
Which could have knock-on benefits.
Definitely. This empowerment, the article suggests, doesn't just end when the agreement is signed. It can potentially foster better post-divorce cooperation and relationships, which is vital, especially for effective co-parenting.
So let's bring this all together. For someone listening, perhaps someone contemplating or going through a divorce in South Africa, what's the practical takeaway from the source material?
Well, this source paints a picture where mediation offers a path that could mean less stress, potentially significant financial savings, and importantly, a greater feeling of control over your own future.
Leading to agreements that actually fit your life, your family's needs, rather than just applying a standard legal formula.
Precisely. Mediation, as presented in this article, really emerges as quite a powerful alternative tool within the South African legal landscape for divorce.
It's positioned as a way to navigate the end of a marriage, more constructively perhaps, more self-directed.
That seems to be the core message, yes. A focus on reducing conflict, saving costs, and empowering the individuals involved to shape what comes next.
It certainly offers a different perspective.
And reflecting on all this, building on the insights from the source, it leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to consider.
Okay.
If it's true that empowering individuals through mediation leads to these more tailored, satisfactory agreements and potentially fosters better post-divorce relationships, what might the broader implications of that be?
You mean beyond the individual couple?
Yes. What could it mean for the overall well-being of families navigating divorce in South Africa? And perhaps even for the future direction and evolution of our legal system itself when it comes to family law, something to reflect on.